Yeah. So going on page number 36 again, and these are reference to Ashwapati's experiences, Sri Aurobindo's experiences himself. At last was won a firm spiritual poise. So all these we have already covered. I'm just going over very briefly so that we can take up the new lines. And there is also a continuation for all of us. A constant lodging in the eternal's realm. A safety in the silence and the ray, a settlement in the immutable. Now, there is a part of us which is constantly in flux, which we usually refer to as the outer consciousness or the ego. You know, the emotions are in flux, the thoughts are in flux, everything is, physics, the physical being is in flux, everything is in flux. And yet, there is also a part or essence of us which is untouched by all the flux. So Ashwapati, through his yogic experiences, he is able to take more and more his stance as this, as that untouched one within himself. As the witnessing aspect of all the emotions, thoughts, the physical changes, everything. He is there, he is the witness of all, and yet he's also untouched by the flux of day-to-day life. Yeah, this is the settlement in the immutable, his heights of being lived in the still self. So what we usually call as the Purusha and the Prakriti. The Purusha is the witnessing aspect, which is immovable, immutable, untouched by life and death. Prakriti is the movement that we have, the movement of thoughts, the movement of our stories, emotional being, the mental being, the physical being, the emotional being. All that is the movement of Prakriti. Yeah, that moves, that is a constant flux. Now he could take more and more his stance as the still self, so that now he can exert his power on the moving parts of his being, which is the Prakriti, and then also master those movements. We are usually swayed away by the thoughts, we are swayed away by the movements of our emotions. If something happens to the physical being, we are just swayed away. We are just like a puppet in their hands. But now, taking a stance as the still self, he's able to rest himself so that he can master his own being. Yeah, his mind could rest on a supernal ground and look down on the magic and play. Only now, taking a stance as the witnessing self, can I look at the play of life as Leela. Otherwise it is Maya for me, it is very illusory, and it hurts, we suffer. And look down on the magic and play, where the God child lies on the lap of night and dawn. What is night? What is dawn? All our experiences, the ups and downs of life is nights and dawn. The depths of challenges is the nights, and the dawns are where we have beautiful experiences when we are feeling in charge of ourselves, for example. Yeah. But then we are always seeing that it is always fluctuating. We may have a beautiful experience in 1 year, but the second year we see that, oh my god, I'm back again in some darkness. Some emotional stress is there, some mental conflict is going on. But this is how we nurture ourselves. Even Vedic rishis have witnessed the presence of nights and dawns in their journey. So we cannot be just wanting all the dawns all the time. If the dawn is there, the night is going to be there. And this is how we are nursed by the nursed as the god child. Yeah, where the god child lies in the lap of night and dawn, and the everlasting puts on time's disguise. So that which is immortal has put on this cloak as if of mortality. Yeah, and this is how we are nursing ourselves, because the task that is in our hands is to transform the nature of Prakriti. Yeah, that is the what is my Prakriti? The emotions, the thoughts, the physical being, all this is Prakriti, my ego. But yet I also have the capacity, owing to my essence which is divine, that so that I can transform this darkness into more and more light. Yeah, to the still heights and to the troubled depths, his equal spirit gave its vast ascent. So his equal spirit is saying it is more understanding in nature now. It is saying that, yes, I agree that nights are as important as the dawns, to the still heights and to the troubled depths. So we will have to plunge deeper into our darknesses, because the very task of us as human beings is to transform those darknesses. So we cannot expect that, oh my God, why is there so much of darkness in my life? It is there because it is to be transformed, and we have all the capability. It is hard, it's very difficult at times, but that is the task at our hands. Yeah. A wide, a poised serenity of tranquil strength, a wide, unshaken look on time's unrest, faced all experience with unaltered peace. So why is there unaltered peace so strongly there? Because now he's able to take his stance as the witnessing aspect. Who am I? I am not the flow of thoughts and emotions. I am not what happens to the physical being. I am all of that, yet I also am the witnessing aspect. I am untouched by the movements, and hence I can make an effect, I can make a change, I can refine the movements of thoughts and emotions. It is, I can take them in my hand. So what this connects us to a very deeper strength which all of us have. When I'm in the middle of the emotional flux and the thoughts conflicts, then I'm not able to have that power. But when I take a stance as the still self within, as the one which cannot be touched by the movements, then I get more and more power, so that I can make an effect. I can have some a little bit of self mastery over my movements. Now I can face the experiences with more and more growing peace in my being. Yeah. Indifferent to the sorrow and delight. Now, so I would not crave for more delight and want the sorrow to go away. Why? Because I see that in the depths of the sorrow I can find light. It is a possibility for me. Sorrow is here to get transformed, so I don't want to shoo away sorrow. Indifferent to the sorrow and delight, untempted by the marvel and the call, immobile, it beheld the flux of things. It beheld as if a vast space holds all the movements of the universe, the planets, all the galaxies. They are held in a vast, vast space. That is the space that he is taking stance as. That if I am the space, all deep allowing space, then all the movements and flux of my being can be there. It is allowed to be. I still can be untouched. Immobile, it beheld the flux of things, calm and apart, supported all that is. Calm and apart. So the space which is holding the whole of universe is calm, it's apart, it is not touched. If one planet dies away, the space does not cry, it is not touched by either its presence or its absence. Yeah. So that is how our being is so vast and all allowing, that it allows the movements of darkness to be. It allows the movements of jealousy, hate, pride, so called negative movements. Our human life is full of those. Oftentimes we are trying to shoo them away. Why are you there? You should not be there. But they have full right to be there, because they are wanting to get transformed with our own light of consciousness. So now it is calm, apart, supported by all that is. His spirit's stillness helped the toiling world. What is the toil about? Why is the world toiling? Why am I emotions and thoughts always in a flux? They're wanting to go somewhere. They're wanting to reach somewhere. They want to move towards their highest potential. And I as a being has to allow and be that vast, vast allowing space, so that I can go through all the muck and marsh of my own negative and positive emotions, all the deep mental conflicts, so that they can grow and grow further through to a greater light, to a greater light. The refinement can happen. Inspired by silence and the closed eyesight, his force now could work with a luminous, new luminous art on the crude material from which all is made, and the refusal of inertia's mass, and the grey front of world's ignorance, and the nascent matter and huge error of life. So, this is all we are faced with as a human being. Usually, our consciousness is so scattered all around that we are not able to have enough energy to work upon ourselves. So all the experiences of life, if they're working to ingather my consciousness, I think I'm going on a beautiful path. That if I get more and more rejections from people, if I realize that world is almost useless, there are no relationships where I can actually kind of get love from our relationships. We try to get love from our relationship. So it's good that we fall on our nose, because only then the consciousness gets ingathered. It comes back within, and there it realizes that love which I was seeking outside is my own essence. Gradually this realization dawns that no one can give me love, no one can give me contentment and happiness. So slowly this ingathering happens in our human being. Yeah. And now I can work, now I can use all the gathered consciousness for this new luminous art, to work on my own refinement. This is the crude matter of which all is made. The matter, it's hard, it's inconscient. Emotions, they are so clouding in nature. When they are there, the darkness is so overwhelming at times. This is nothing but the ignorance of the matter, the inconscience of the matter. So it's our task that in those very emotions which are full of darkness right now, can I bring them more and more light and clarity? Can I also make my mental space more and more ingathered, clear, and free of garbage as and when possible in my capability? So, this is what is going on. I'm working on myself. This work is going on Ashupati within himself. As a sculptor chisels a deity out of stone, he slowly chipped off the dark envelope. Imagine that we are the sculptors and we are the stones on which we have to work. All the capacity, all the strength is in our hands. Yeah. So as a sculptor chisels a deity out of stone, he is allowing chipping off his own dark envelope. All that is dark and obscure, he's chipping it off. He's trying to make a shape out of it. Line of defense of nature's ignorance, the illusion and mystery of the inconscient, in whose black pall the eternal wraps his head, that he may act unknown in cosmic time. Now, whenever we are face to face with really dark challenges in life, mostly emotional and mental conflicts, even diseases, there is so much of darkness. We often wonder, on for what purpose am I granted with this darkness? Why is life so such a struggle? But here it is written, in whose black pall the eternal wraps his head. So in all the darknesses is hiding behind some truth. Now it's for all of us adventurers to actually go dig deeper into the darkness and find out what is the truth that is wanting to get revealed through that experience. And that is why a true adventurer on this path would then stop to be swayed by the darkness of experiences. Yes, it is hard, it is painful, I am suffering, and yet I also have faith that something beautiful and something new is going to emerge out of this dark challenge. So, that kind of a spirit, if it is there, then we can make use of all our dark challenges. And we are all faced with that. There is no single human being who is not faced with darkness or challenge, because that is the very task at our hand. Yeah. A splendor of self creation from the peaks, a transfiguration in the mystic depths, a happier cosmic working could begin and fashion the world shape in him anew. God found in nature, nature fulfilled in God. So Sri Aurobindo is almost hinting towards the work to be done as a human being. God found in nature, nature fulfilled in God. This is the gap that we need to bridge. We all have an understanding. When somebody comes to us for an advice, we are so good at giving a suggestion. We are all sorted in that space. And yet when it comes to our own challenges, we see that we fail miserably. Yeah. So this gap between knowing and living has to be bridged. God found in nature. What is nature? My own nature. The ego, the mental space, the emotional space, the physical space, all that is my nature, the flow of emotions, the flow of thoughts. Nature fulfilled in God. So can I bring more and more and more growing light into the emotional, the mental, and the physical space as a being that I live? Is it possible for me? Because I get really frustrated when I know that I have a theoretical understanding of what all I should be doing in life, and yet I fail to do that. Yeah, so my living remains miserable, but in theory I know everything. I seem to know everything. So this is the gap. Sri Aurobindo says that it has to be bridged in our day-to-day practical life. God found in nature, nature fulfilled in God. Yeah. So I'm just finishing, and then I'll uh, open the platform for sharing if there is anything from these lines, and then we will take up the newer lines. Already in him was seen that task of power. Life made its home on the high tops of self. His soul, mind, heart became a single sun. Only life's lower reaches remained dim. So this is the reference to the work that is happening within Ashupati. This is the work that is happening. Yeah. A strong divine strength, the force that we have. You want to make a cup of tea, you get up and make a cup of tea for yourself. So where is that force coming from? That very force itself, that power that is present in each one of us, it is started to do conscious work in Ashupati. He's collaborating with that force. Yeah. Life made its home on the high tops of self. His soul, mind, heart became a single sun. So there is a unification that is happening. Usually what happens is the mind wants to do something else, the emotions are asking me to do something else, and the physical being, the physical being remains in his own space, that inertia or whatever. Yeah. So there is a lot of clash and conflict in our own parts of being. Now, owing to the light of understanding in Ashupati that yes, this is the right path for me, at will, he was able to direct, as if a harmony happened within the being, that the mind, the thoughts, the emotional being, the life, and the physical, all and the soul, they all became one. They all were following one harmony, one alignment. So he's gotten more aligned with his inner truth. He's not going against his inner truth in a flow of impulse, desires, ambitions, greed, and all that, which sways us from our deeper truth. Yeah. But here also there is a catch. What is the catch? Only life's lower reaches remained dim. So there is still a lot of work to do. Yeah, the unconscious parts in us, the subconscious parts in us, the tendencies, patterns, the vrittis and vikaras in us, they need still a lot of light. They are still running in a mechanical mode. So there is a lot of work still to be done. But there too, in the uncertain shadow of life, there was a labor and a fiery breath. So it's not that the lower reaches are totally dark. The lower reaches are also kind of propelled with this fiery breath. There needs to be a work that is gotten to be done there. Yeah. The ambiguous scowled celestial puissance worked, watched by the inner witnesses, moveless peace. So taking a stance as the still self, as the witnessing purusha, now he is able to direct even the darker parts of his being. He's able to shed light of consciousness in the darker reaches, in the dim reaches, the lower consciousness. And it's the lower consciousness where we need more work in our human life. Yeah? So that work has started. So just the last paragraph. Even on the struggling nature left below, strong periods of illumination came. Sometimes it happens in our life that we are undergoing a really dark challenge. We are not really able to understand why is this happening. I thought I have understood this, but I'm still again in the same mess. And then somewhere, maybe while you're sleeping, or maybe meditating, or maybe in deep reflection, some dots begin to connect. Some insights are given to you. So, as if my own tendencies and patterns, which were so far so obscure, as if I was not able to understand what's going on in my life, something gets revealed. Yeah. So even in this struggling nature left below, strong periods of illumination came. It's not that they're completely dark. I experience a lot of light at times, where through insights the dots connect in my life. Lightnings of glory after glory burned. When we are able to look at our own dishonesties and selfish actions that we have been doing, owing to which we are trapped in emotional relationships or otherwise, in life. So once I'm able to look at my own dishonesty, I'm able to see, oh my God, this is why I was so trapped in such issues, because I wanted that from a relationship. So as long as asking is continuing in my life, I will remain trapped. I'm always wanting, demanding, expecting, wanting from my relationships or works or life. So this dishonesty, when it is revealed to us, then something becomes lighter. Something more light is shed. Experience was a tale of blaze and fire. Air rippled round the argosies of the gods. Strange riches sailed to him from the unseen. So when we become to get a bit honest about our own tendencies, our own patterns and selfish manipulations, something is gifted to us. What is that gift? I get more and more inspirations and insight to walk on the path. That is my gift. You know? So one dishonesty caught in my life, I'm gifted with more strength and lightness and inspiration to go ahead on this path. Strange riches sailed to him from the unseen. Splendors of insight filled the blank of thought. Now his mind space is absolutely silent because he's not wanting anything from the world. Owing to this presence of silence in or absence of garbage in the mind, now inspirations have some space to get into that receptacle of the mind. Usually we are craving, why am I not getting insights and inspirations in my life? This is the reason why we don't have more inspirations and insights, because we don't have space in our head. The head is completely full of garbage, the garbage of past, the garbage of future, all the present worries, the anxieties, me and my story. So as long as that is going to be there, the cup is not empty, and hence inspiration has no space to dawn upon. But in this case, it's something else that is happening. Knowledge spoke to the inconscient stillnesses. Visits of rivers poured down of bliss and luminous force. Visits of beauty, storm sweeps of delight. So, all this bliss for no reason, peace and contentment he is getting as a gift of cleaning his inner temple. Rained from the all powerful mystery above, thence stooped the eagles of omniscience. Whenever a call is there, a yearning is there for a better life from below, Sri Aurobindo and Mother say that immediately a response comes from above so that you can see more and get more light. So, this yearning and willingness to go on and turn our obstacles to light is very, very important. This yearning that, yes, I want to make something good with this life. Yeah, and whenever this call is there, then always a divine descent, a response to that call is going to be there. And here Sri Aurobindo says, stooped the eagles of omniscience. First of all, stooped. There is hardly any time it takes us for stooping. Yeah, stooping is very fast. So the response from the divine is very fast. The answer to the call is very fast. It does not take much of time if the intensity and sincerity is there in the call. The other thing is eagles of omniscience. So eagles are blessed with this powerful sight, the larger vision. So whenever I have a call to make things better in my life, always I am blessed with a larger vision. As if a light of understanding stoops, comes down to me and says, okay, can you now make sense of it? This is why you were there in that trouble. Maybe almost telling me that why I needed that trouble in life, so that I could rise more than my ego. I could rise beyond my ego. So this is where we stopped last. I think I've really talked a lot. So those of us who would like to share any reflections from the lines that I have covered until now, please share, unmute and share. Okay, so I'm assuming there is no remark right now. Please feel free to unmute if you ever in between you feel like sharing, or maybe some dots connected for you through your personal experiences. Do not hesitate, please share. So let's take up the new lines then, in absence of anything else. This is what we have to start from today. Page number 37, the second last paragraph. A dense veil was rent. So who would like to go through the lines?
A dense wail was rent, a mighty whisper heard, repeated in the privacy of his soul. A wisdom cry from rapt transcendences sang on the mountain of an unseen world. The voices that an inner listening hears conveyed to him their prophet utterances, and flame wrapped outbursts of the immortal world and flashes of an occult revealing light approached him from the unreachable secrecy.
Yes. So this owing to the call or the yearning that is there to make things better and better, there is this stooping of light of consciousness, stooping of a larger vision, a vision which can see much far than the present limited challenge. Owing to this stooping of this vision or the light of understanding, a dense veil was rent, as if now I'm able to see more than what was earlier available to my limited vision of the mind. A mighty whisper heard. So, as if a dense veil was rent, it's almost reflecting upon as if there is a curtain which was obscuring the light which was forever there. Now there was a rent, or a piercing of the curtain was there, the curtain of ignorance, the curtain where I'm not able to really go ahead in my life, and just so confused, so conflicted, that nothing is making sense. So a light of understanding was able to pierce through this dense veil of ignorance. You know, a mighty whisper heard. So Sri Aurobindo has placed two things together here. Mighty whisper, a whisper which is not too loud; it's very hushed, and yet it has a lot of power. And this is what we can call, what is called as the light of inner voice. The inner voice which is always there, but it is so muffled in the clamor of the ego that it's rarely, barely hearable. We can't hear it much. Often we are struggling how to listen to my inner voice, how to listen to my inner voice, but we are not able to listen to it. Why? Because the clamor of the mind, the clamor of the emotions, it's so heavy that it does not allow us to reach to the depths of that mighty whisper which is forever present. So owing to the silence witnessing aspect, where Ashwapati is now able to take a stance as a witnessing aspect, so he is peaceful, he is restful. Owing to that restfulness, this mighty whisper is now can be heard. Yeah, this guidance of inner light of consciousness can be heard, repeated in the privacy of his soul. So it's all very hushed and silence within his being. A lot of private space is there. Yeah, and there he knows what is to be done, as if In baby steps, the newer path is to be revealed to him where he has to go in his life. Yeah. A wisdom cry from rapt transcendences. Again, a reference to the light of guidance. A wisdom cry. It's almost crying. Why would it cry? It would cry because it has been wanting to be heard. And we have been so obscured by the emotional and mental conflicts that we have never given it space to be heard. This is our life. Sri Aurobindo and Mother talk about living a life divine. Only when I'm able to leave a word conflicted with emotions and troubles can I enter into this inner space and hear this wisdom cry. So, this is almost an invitation towards a new life. A wisdom cry from rapt transcendences sang on the mountains of an unseen world. Yeah, a world which has not been yet seen. Something, a higher possibility. A world which is different than the world of ordinary consciousness, in which we are used to live, as if we are addicted to live in a chaotic world. Yeah. Sang, singing always has a harmony to it. It has a rhythm to it. It sounds musical. You want to hear it again and again. So this is what it implies, I believe. A more harmony. There is a harmony in that voice. Yeah. It appears, yes, 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 this is the path to go. Yeah. The voices that an inner listening hears. Only an inner listening can hear these subtle voices. Usually, I am so used to listen to the outside voices, what people are thinking about me, what I am thinking about myself, what the other person talks about me when I'm not there. All these things that we usually engage ourselves in, they are so loud that our ears are not available for inner listening. So, how can I be available to inner listening? Only when my outer ears are not excessively abusing themselves in the chaos of the world. I know deeply that it's nothing that the world can give to me. So I gather my consciousness, I go deeper into the being, and I try to listen to the depths of my own silences, inner inner listening, the voices that an inner listening hears, conveyed to him their prophet utterances. Now something is being revealed to Ashwapati, as if a new path to be followed, as if a baby step revealed to Ashwapati now what is to be done. And flame wrapped outburst of the immortal world. Flame has an intensity to it. Whenever we talk about flame, we talk about it can burn, it is intense. Yeah. So that intensity of these prophet utterances, whatever he's able to hear, he is able to know deeply that yes, this is the path, this is to be done in this human life. I cannot run away from here. So there has been an intensity with all these inner silencing, in inner listening, all the words that he's able to hear. There is an intensity about it. And flashes of an occult revealing light approached him from the unreachable secrecy. So these wisdom, these words of wisdom, the depth and light, usually we are not able to touch. Why? Because we are so used or addicted to live in surface consciousness. Yeah, so I'm hardly available for something like this. It's not that it is not there, it is there 24/7, wanting to be heard, wanting to be given an ear to. But I am not available. I have some better tasks to do in this life. That is what we believe, that I should be attending to this first, that first, and inner listening, yeah, maybe later. Who cares about that, so long as my life is going okay? But blessed are those who have challenges in life, because it's only through our darkness and challenges that we are almost having a feeling of hopelessness through external people and life situations, and then we ingather our consciousness and become available to all this richness of the being. So it is a blessing when we get blows and slaps from life, because only then we allow ourselves to move within. Yeah. So anything from there? Anything from this passage? Anyone? Okay, in absence of anything, please go ahead. Anyone who would like to read the part in blue and
And
inspired knowledge. Yeah.
an inspired knowledge sat enthroned within, whose seconds illumined more than reason's years. An ictus of revealing lustre fell, as if a pointing accent upon truth, and like a sky flare showing all the ground, a swift intuitive discernment shone.
Yes. So now when I am, and connected with, I would really invite us all to connect it deeply with your own self, your own experiences, now as I'm in gathering my own my own consciousness, the threads of consciousness which were always scattered all around the world, as I'm moving within, and there is no end to moving within. The moving within is so infinite that I can take a lifetime and go on moving within. Again I'm thrown back to the surface, then again I go within. Yeah. So these movements are very important for us as human beings. So as I ingather the threads of my consciousness and I move within the being, what do I see there? An inspired knowledge sat enthroned within. A knowledge full of inspiration and light is there, almost like sitting as a king. Yeah. Earlier I was ignoring this, I was not available to this, and that was not the king of my being. But owing to the fact that I'm growing in my experiences, now I make consciously, collaboratively, I make this inspirational knowledge within, I make the wisdom within my being as the king in my being. And what is this king in my being? Whose seconds illumine more than reason's ears. Whenever a light of understanding pierces through our being, we see that the dots that we have been trying to connect mentally, rationally in our life, they actually need to be connected. I don't need to spend so much of time trying to connect those dots in the external situations. And there is so much of clarity and revelation that comes to my being when I allow this insight to come to me, that in spite of the dots connecting or not connecting in external life through mental reasoning, I feel a great sense of relief, that thank God for this experience. Something gets illuminated in my being. So this is the power of direct perception, direct knowing. It is not a slave of mental reasoning and capacity. Yeah, this is the power. Usually we are always trying to connect dots in mental domain. Okay, I did not get the point, I will think about it, I will think about it. So we keep on thinking about it. This knowledge that is illumining or is sitting enthroned within Asupati's being is not a knowledge coming out of the mind. It's a knowledge that escapes all the thought and mental reasoning. It is a direct knowing. Yeah. And how direct it is, Sri Aurobindo explains in the coming lines. This is so intense and direct that an ictus of revealing lustre fell, as if a pointing accent upon truth. Ictus is a word coming from Greek literature, where there is an arrow kind of a thing, a fish like an like arrow, which is put in front of a word. For example, in a word I have to stress a syllable, right? So to that syllable I would be putting that arrow, that is an ictus, so that whenever a person is reading, he knows that this syllable is to be impressed upon while you are spelling it out. So the intensity of the knowledge that comes as a direct knowing, it is so intense that it points towards the truth hiding behind the dishonesties. So this capacity of looking at our own dishonesties is the light of consciousness. It reveals something to us. It reveals our manipulations and agendas to us in our own relationships, in our own workplace, how I've been living all these years. It reveals. Yeah. So that is the revealing lustre of that pointer of truth, as if a pointing accent upon truth, and like a sky flare showing all the ground. So in a second, imagine that there is a flare that burns up for a second and then it's gone, the flare is gone. But in a second of that flare, it reveals the contents all of all that room. Imagine that my mind is a room, my consciousness is a room, and that flare shines up for a second. In a second of that light of illumination, I'm able to see all the dishonesties that were hiding when the light was not there. This is what is to be done in day to day life. We have to catch our own dishonesties, the way we behave, the way we say things to people, the way we react in our life. And if this can begin to become my raw material, then it's almost an invincibility that we connect ourselves to. We'll be always refining and further purifying ourselves. This is our task. No one is born perfect. Yeah, no one is born pure. We are born with a baggage of tendencies and vikars and prakriti. Yeah, and our task as a human being is to own the impurity, and yet to also know that this is not my highest possibility, the impurities. My task is as an alchemist to work on these impurities and to make them purer and purer and purer. Yeah, this is my task. So this is how a swift, intuitive discernment shown. Now, discernment is a gift. Discernment is a gift in spiritual life. Usually, we are so swayed away by our mental opinions and rigidities and emotional impulses, desires, greed, all this vigor of emotions, that we are not able to use discernment. Slowly, as we grow in our experiences, we realize that I have banged my head on the wall so many times. Yeah, so many times I have done that. How long would I continue to be wounded? I don't want to bang my head again. This is discernment. And this would be coming to me only through my own life experiences. Yeah, it's not without experiences that I learn. So there is a lot of blood involved. I've fallen a lot. I've wounded myself a lot. I have hurt myself a lot. And now, owing to this, I am capable of receiving the gift of discernment. Yeah, owing to my wounds, I'm able to get and use the ability of discernment, that it is not serving me any good. The way I am living this life, always wanting, expecting, demanding from people or all around me, from life, this is not the way to live life. So what can be a other way for me to live life? Yeah, this is the quality of discernment. Right judgment. Discernment means right judgment. In Hindi we call it viveka. Yeah. Yeah, and then Sri Aurobindo further reveals in the coming paragraph what is it discernment. What about discernment? So anything from this paragraph? Any reflection?
Monica, would that
Yes.
be like, sorry, would that be like an aha moment or a moment of irony when it's illumined in that way? The discernment to see the right from the wrong and think, aha, that's why, or is that what it's saying?
Yes, Julie. Yeah, exactly. I think the thing that you said, to be able to separate the right from the wrong, that is what Sri
Yes.
Aurobindo describes in the next paragraph. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And usually, we are so blinded by our emotional rigors and mental rigidities that even when something deep within us knows what is right and wrong, we are not able to follow it usually. The following up on it is not there. I think that is why human experiences would be so beneficial. The so many times if I have fallen on my nose, following my blind desires and blind impulses, only then this capacity to be able to see that, oh, I don't want to follow that road anymore. Then it comes as this discernment, the ability to see what is true and what is false. Yeah. So anyone who would like to read the next few lines?
One glance could separate the true and false, or raise its rapid torch fire in the dark, to check the claimants crowding through mind's gates, covered by the forged signatures of the god. Detect the magic bride in her disguise, or scan the apparent face of thought and life.
Yes, so this is a description of the ability to discern right judgment. One glance, the intensity is so strong. One glance, and I'm able to separate true and false. False is usually, the blind ego, the falsehood of the ego. Mother and Sri Aurobindo say it's the falsehood of the ego that needs to be transformed. And we fall badly on our nose whenever we have followed that. So it's good for us that we have fallen again and again. Why? Because we are not the egos. It's not a life that we deserve. The limited egos and limited, the blindness of desires, sense perceptions, it is not the life that we deserve. We deserve a better life. So it's good that I fall, so that I know that I deserve something better. Yeah. And owing to this ability to discern now, I'm able to see whether in this situation, what am I going to say? Is that coming from my falsehood, or is it coming from a deeper truth? Yeah. And then I'm able to stop myself. Many a times we are not able to stop. It goes on in an emotional rush. Yeah. But no matter how many times we fail, it does not matter. We have to rise up again and again, start afresh, anew. Yeah. We don't have to feel ashamed again and again with our own failures. That knowing that I was acting from ego, I still acted from ego. Yeah. But we all do that. So we must not stop there. We must rise shamelessly and again, be on our toes almost. One glance could separate the true and false, or raise its rapid torch fire in the dark. So this ability to discern is so intense that whenever in the dark, it almost, raises, as if, imagine that you have a torch and you are raising it up in the dark room. What happens, even if it is there for a moment, all the dishonesties, if dishonesties are a content of that room, they are revealed in that light. Yeah. So this is the ability to discern. It reveals what it's almost has the ability to sort the wheat from the chaff. Yeah. I cannot fool myself anymore. I'm able to see that I am fooling. So that ability to see is this discernment. To check the claimants crowding through mind's gates, covered by forged signatures of the gods. Now, how am I using this ability to discern? So we have so many millions of thoughts in a day that cross our head. Now, many thoughts take the cloak of truth, and they say that, oh, I will take you to truth and peace and happiness. Follow me, follow me. Oh, I am right. I am not arising from the ego. Follow me, follow me. So these are the claimants. They're wanting to claim that, yes, I deserve a space in your mind and you need to follow me. These are the claimants. But more often than not, most of the thoughts are just forgeries. They are forging the signatures of truth or gods, but they are not actually going to take you towards peace, light, and happiness. But now, owing to the ability of discernment that I have, I will be able to check very clearly whether it's a forged signature or whether it's really going to take me towards peace and happiness. So whenever thoughts enter my mind, whenever emotions are there in my emotional space, I will be able to see those thoughts very clearly, whether what they are claiming is true or they are trying to fool me. So now I will be able to at least begin to a bit master my thoughts. This is what we call self mastery. Not that every thought comes and I follow that thought. Yeah. Thoughts are there. I'm able to see and discern those thoughts. And I'm also able to see which thoughts are just forged claimants and which thoughts are actually necessary for me to be following. Yeah. So this ability now kind of dawns more and more in my being. I'm not easily to be fooled. I may be fooled, but not that easily. Yeah. Covered by the forged signatures of gods, detect the magic bride in her disguise, or scan the apparent face of thought and life. So, this discernment has the capacity to detect the magic bride in her disguise. What is the magic bride? One can ask. In mystical literature, all of us have been almost hinted at as all human beings are magic brides. Why? Because they are wanting to unite with the divine. Yeah, so all our egos are all the yearning that rises from the being is the magic bride. And who is the beloved? The Lord. Yeah, so all of us, irrespective of our genders, are the magic brides, and our only lover is the Lord. No matter how many physical lovers we may get in the world, we will never be contented, because the only Lord, that is the only Pati, or the Lord that is the Lord himself, the beloved himself, the our own higher self, to which we have to unite. Yeah, and it is not a unity that has to happen. The unity is already there, but the veil of ignorance is so strong that I am always unaware that the unity is there. So this is our task as a human being, that in degrees the veil is rent, the veil of ignorance are shed more and more, and I become more and more able to unite myself, to see this unity, that I am one with the divine. Yeah, yes, there is a lot of work to be done, but the divine strength is with me 24/7 all the time. I am not away from the divine. So this yearning is the magic bride, that yearning which wants to unite with the beloved. Yeah, so this ability to discern is also able to detect the magic bride. That yes, I have this yearning that is wanting to reach somewhere. It wants to be united. Yeah, or scan the apparent face of thought and life, again referring to things that come as in disguise, that I will give you truth, I will take you towards truth, follow me, but it actually lands up in trouble. So this discernment is able to scan all the documents coming my way, thoughts and emotions coming my way, and ability to see that whether it is going to really help me, or it is going to put me into a deeper hole. Yeah, of darkness and challenge. And no matter how much deeper a hole may become, we have all the capacity in the world to rise through any challenge. Yeah. So we'll just go through these last two passages, and then we can close the session for today. Yeah, is there anything? Please feel free to share, unmute and share, else just go through the lines, whoever wants to go.
Oft inspiration with her lightning feet, a sudden messenger from the all-seeing tops, traversed the soundless corridors of his mind, bringing her rhythmic sense of hidden things.
Yes. So now, in the silent corridors of his mind, why is our mind so restless? Because it is always wanting something. There is always a wanting going on. Otherwise, there is no point of being restless. Yeah. So this seeking from external world has stopped. So the mind is absolutely still. And owing to the mind being available as empty space, now inspiration has the capacity to come. Now there is space for inspiration to come. Oft inspiration with her lightning feet, a sudden messenger from the all-seeing tops, traversed the soundless corridors of his mind. Soundless corridors. Now there is no sound that his mind is making. It's an empty field. we have experienced those phases in our life, and even now, whenever possible, when the mind is at rest, it is available to the insight, to the inspiration. Yeah. So inspiration comes as a messenger from all seeing tops. Inspiration has always a larger view. It always has something beyond our limited domains of understanding. Yeah. So it always comes with a larger view, a larger idea, a larger thought. Traversed the soundless corridors of his mind, bringing her rhythmic sense of hidden things. Now, this inspiration, when it comes, it brings things in harmony. It brings the idea, whenever an idea is forming in our head, it has a harmony about it. There is a beauty about inspiration. So this rhythmic sense of harmony and beauty, this is what the mind is available to take now, owing to the fact that it's an empty space. It has space. It is not cluttered with the garbage of all the things which are considered to be more important than inspiration. Yeah. Usually the day-to-day life situations or things are so they take up so much of space in our life that we hardly have any space for something of the beyond. Yeah, but this is changing. It's changing in Ashwapati. Yeah. The next one.
A music spoke, transcending mortal speech, as if from a golden phial of the all bliss, a joy of light, a joy of sudden sight, a rapture of the thrilled, undying word, poured into his heart as into an empty cup, a repetition of God's first delight, creating in a young and virgin time.
Yeah. So this, just continuing also with inspiration, there is something very peculiar about inspiration. It is very effortless. You did not do any mental effort for inspiration to be there. There is a very sahaj bhav about it. It's effortless. It comes in a flow. It comes as a sudden. So it's not the mental working that gave rise to the inspiration. Usually we are so used to do everything with so much of mental effort that if we have not really put too much effort into anything, we feel that maybe this is something bullshit. I should ignore it completely. But this is the way of effortless flowing of grace. Yeah, when I am cleaning and continue to clean my inner temple, making space for it to flow, for the grace to flow, then inspiration always comes as effortless flow. Yeah, it's not the running of the mind that leads to inspiration. Yeah, a music spoke, transcending mortal speech. Now there is a harmony about music. So whenever inspiration is there, words directly from grace are there, there is a harmony about it. They just feel right. You don't know why they're feeling right, but they just feel very right. Yeah, they just go pierce through your being and go deeply within. And this is something beyond what we usually use as speech in our day-to-day life, which is more or less, many a times we use speech which is not even necessary. We say words which are just not necessary, better not said. Uh, but this music that came from the grace, direct grace, this was having a rhythmic and harmonic sense to it, as if from a golden phial of all bliss, a joy of light, a joy of sudden sight, a rapture of the thrilled, undying word poured into his heart into an empty cup. Imagine you have a little bottle of perfume, what we in Hindi call as itr. Yeah, itr in Urdu also. Where, so there is this little bottle of perfume. One drop of that from that bottle is enough for the fragrance to be there in all the rooms. So that drop from this golden phial of all grace and bliss, yeah, that was given to him in this aspect of inspiration. This joy of harmony, the joy of something beyond our mortal life was given to him, owing to the fact that he has space for it in his life. Often we don't have much space in our life. We are so used up by day-to-day things that we don't have much space for it. Yeah. Poured into his heart as into an empty cup. Now his heart is also an empty cup. His heart is not troubled with the emotions and conflicts and miseries of past and coming future, the agony of future, me and my relationships. So the heart is also not troubled. The waters of heart are still waters. So he is able to receive that grace into the heart also. The joy, the delight is able to receive that. A repetition of God's first delight, creating in a young and virgin time. Almost Sri Aurobindo refers to it as that when God had created, imagine that the God is not yet created or manifested a world, and he's all by himself lying in his delight. There is no other, but then he wants to experience the other. So what he does is he manifests out the other from him, and he's so delighted at this other. He sees that, oh my God, this is me. This is me, and I'm so delighted that I can experience myself as billion others. This is the delight of duality. But we human beings who have usually taken it so seriously, for us it becomes a suffering. And then, owing to the fact that mother says that this is our very task, when God manifested the creation, this is what happens. Bliss became suffering. So it was supposed to be bliss, but now it became suffering. So God himself plunged into the depths of suffering, and he said, okay, go into the depths of suffering and you will find me there. You will have delight going through suffering itself. So you don't have to shoo away suffering or darkness or challenge. So this is the delight of progress that mother also refers to, the delight of looking at our own dishonesties and going past them, going beyond them, on and on and on and on. No matter how shattered we may become in the process, we will always be able to enjoy this delight of looking at our own dishonesties and moving past our clevernesses and the disguises of the ego. Yeah, this is the delight, the basis of existence, which was given as a drop to Ashwapati in his heart, which was available, which had some space for this joy. Yeah, so I think I'm done. If there are any reflections, please share. Anyone can unmute and share.
Yeah, Monica, regarding that emptying, no, emptying of heart and the mind, actually. Even one prayer is there, Mother's Prayer. It's April 1st, after she met Sri Aurobindo. She wrote in her prayer, I feel we have entered the very heart of thy sanctuary and grown aware of thy very will. A great joy, a deep peace reign in me, and yet all my inner constructions have vanished like a vain dream. And I find myself now before thy immensity without a frame or system, like a being not yet individualized. All the past in its external form seems ridiculously arbitrary to me, and yet I know it was useful in its own time. But now all is changed, a new stage has begun. So even Sri Aurobindo and Mother, after getting all those wonderful experience, they are able to empty themselves for the new experience to come. No, actually.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful.
Even Sri Aurobindo's thing, it happened. Read on one of the book, one saint or Sami or like. He came once and he emptied the cup. He kept a cup in on the table, teacup, Sri Aurobindo. He just reversed the cup and emptied the cup and showed a sign, you should empty your mind. And then I think it is before he started writing Savitri, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I also heard that experience.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yeah.
You can explain well because of
Yeah.
my
No, no,
experience.
I think completely what you are
Yeah.
saying, that I think he came to Sri Aurobindo to learn something. And
Yeah.
Sri Aurobindo, just by doing this gesture of, putting the cup upside down, I think it was just a reference that first you should empty the cup of all
Yeah.
the knowledge that you are carrying in your head. And,
Mm.
we often get into this ignorance of, I know, I know. And this is the biggest arrogance, ignorance that we fall a trap in. And so one has to just keep on clearing this cup again and again, because the quality of this cup is that it things stick to it, so once in a while, you again and again, the mind tells you, oh, oh,
Mm.
so one has to just keep on emptying it again and again. Yeah, very true. Thank you for sharing.
That's the motto of surrender.
Yeah.
Complete surrender is empty your cup and sit and wait for it to fill from above.
Beautiful. And I feel that this emptying of the cup is a movement continuously to be done throughout a lifetime, because as I was sharing, one never knows, the cup gets filled up again, the cup gets filled up again. So this emptying needs to be done every moment, every moment. Yeah.
Like you say, empty the cup, and you say with all the garbage that we fill in it, we have to do it on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
Every moment of awareness, empty your cup.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Anyone else? Any reflections? Okay. So, for those of us who have joined today for the first time, and if you would like to join again, please keep on using the same link for every Thursday. Or if you want to be added into a WhatsApp group where we keep on sharing whether we are having the session today or not, then you can type your WhatsApp number in the chat window. That would be nice, because otherwise I may miss, many a times we are not having the session. So then I inform usually on the chat group that I will not be having the session today. Yeah. So if anyone wants to share their WhatsApp number, they can put it in the chat window, or uh, either send me a message via email of their phone number. Then I can add it on the chat group. Yeah. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.